So today in this video, I'll be showing you my version of Kurt's card care that I put together. I know it's a very contentious topic, this whole idea of card cleaning and card repair. So before you start putting comments in my video, just so you know, if you are not a supporter of repairing and cleaning your cards, this video is probably not for you. In all honesty, I don't actually have a lot of issues with the whole idea of cleaning cards and repairing cards, especially when they are actually for PC. But even for submissions in general, it's not a big deal. I mean, oftentimes the example that's being used is a car. If you kind of dent up your car and before you sell it, do you sell it as is? Or do you kind of touch it up, make it look good, and get a better price for it? So it's food for thought. Having said that, I actually don't repair cards as often as most people think I would. The kit that I'm putting together is not exactly the same as Kurt's Card Care. I don't actually think I need all the elements in Kurt's Card Care. Much of the kit that I put together are built with my local resources, but having said that, I've also left the relevant links to Amazon for the similar products that you can actually get to put together your own kit. So with that, let's get straight into it. So one of the most prominent tools in his kit that we always see is this little kind of stick with a tube at the end of it. So this silver thing is actually a chopstick that I've got lying around at home. This is one of those silver fancy chopsticks you see at Korean restaurants, but you can use pretty much any chopsticks. You can also use chopsticks from your local Chinese takeaway, you know, those little bamboo wooden ones. You can use one of those. As for the tubing, I'm not too sure if I can get it in focus. So it's nothing special, that tubing. Depending on the width of your chopstick, you can find various tubing sizes. In this particular instance, I've actually gone with Aquarium Tubing. So I've got some here that I can show you. So this is exactly what it is. So again, I'll try to get the links and post it below the video so you can go search for some of these stuff on Amazon. But having said that, the one that Kurt has, it's a lot bigger. This is a little bit narrower. I find it works much better in a narrow form because, I mean, the cards are not huge. And I like the fact that the Aquarium Tubing is a little bit softer, a little bit more pliable. And if you ask me personally, this tool is extremely helpful in getting out the little bent corners and dented corners. The next thing he has on his list is the Microfibre Cloth. It's nothing special, microfiber, you can find it anywhere. I think the one he had was a slightly different variant. I actually prefer one of these. Not too sure if you can spot what it is. This is your typical sunglasses kind of wiping cloth. The way I see it, if it's good enough for your glasses, which is relatively sensitive in terms of for scratches, I think this is good enough for cards. So what's next? That magic spray that he has. I mean, they don't disclose what it is exactly, but I'll take a calculated guess. 1. Water, or a diluted version of an alcohol solution. So I've gone with this. I've got this from a local pharmacy. It's an alcohol spray for 75%. It's worked relatively well. And you know, the whole idea of alcohol is that it kind of helps with cleaning and it evaporates really quickly. And you shouldn't have too much issues finding one of these from your local pharmacy. Okay, that's that. Oh, by the way, I've also had great success just using plain water. I mean, water is probably the most neutral compound in most cases. So if you want to go with water, yeah, by all means. So next, it's the little swabs that you see. It looks a little bit like this. Okay, so as you can see, I bought a big bag of these stuff. I'll take one out. It's nothing fancy. It's really like a cotton bud with a flat face. The flat face just makes it a little bit easier to kind of maneuver and move things around. But if you can't find this in your local store, a cotton bud will work. But having said that, the cotton bud is a bit narrow, so it's a bit, you know, a bit more challenging. These stuff are super cheap, and they are called printer swabs. Again, the links are down below. You can find a whole lot of these for really cheap on Amazon. I bought like 100 of these for like, I can't remember now, less than $10 or something along those lines. But yeah, I'll leave it there. So, swabs. Okay, so next thing he has on his list is this little wax thing that you can use to polish off your cards. This is one of those things that I find that I didn't necessarily need, and I'll explain to you why. Let's understand the concept of polishing to begin with. If you have a scratch, how do you actually get the scratch out? Is you have a compound that polishes it and kind of evens out the dented surface and uneven surface so it looks smooth. So in some sense, you're actually cutting a layer of the wax or the surface of the card to make sure they're all even out, and then hence no scratch. I can only take a guess of what Kurt's card care is. It's probably a form of beeswax or a combination of that, because beeswax is typically inert, and yeah, it's pretty good for most furniture polishing and the likes. I've also run a couple of experiments. This is going to be controversial. I didn't use this on a very fancy card. I used it on some random card that I made a couple of scratches on, and guess what? I used car polish on it, and I could barely get the scratches out. For fine line scratches, like really fine line scratches on chrome cards, yeah, for sure. But for deeper scratches, the ones that you kind of can see a dent into, that, no chance. Car polish is supposed to be pretty abrasive in many ways, and if that can't even get a scratch off a card, chances are what you get in Kurt's card care, that little wax-like thing, probably not going to do a whole lot. But then again, I don't actually know the exact compound of Kurt's card care's wax. I can only take a guess. So because of that, I don't actually have that in my kit. And this is what I use. There's a lot of caution I put onto this, and like I said, it is only meant for certain cards and do it at your own risk, but I've done it with a lot of success. Meguiars Ultimate Compound. This compound is interesting because it's not as abrasive as most, but it's good enough to get really fine scratches out. It's really up to you if you want to use it. I would suggest do it with care, because you don't actually want it to get on the edges of the cards. But I've done it with great success on most chrome cards like Prism and Topps Chrome and those kind of stuff. But for everything else, like for example paper cards, I probably wouldn't recommend it. Like for this kind of cards, yeah, probably not a good idea. And try not to get it on the edge, because obviously the edge are not protected by any wax or shine and chrome. Those might get absorbed. Even with this and going nuts on polishing, I haven't been able to get a whole lot of improvements in deep scratches. So yeah, that whole idea of Kurt's wax, I'm a little bit skeptical. But then again, for those who have used it, yeah, feel free to kind of leave a comment and let me know if it works. Alright, so essentially these are the basics from that kit, right? That spray, the swabs, the microfiber, the pencil-like thing, and yeah, wax, I suppose. So here's one additional item I've added to the list. I see him use it all the time, and I thought, yeah, I want to kind of find a similar setup and it might be useful. And that item is actually this 2-round Perspex board. This is really good if you need kind of a hard surface to kind of wedge stuff out. For example, you have a card like that and you just go for it with that pencil tool to wedge stuff out. Very nice, very hard surface. Alternatively, I mean, if you want to kind of have this flatten out after you kind of repaired your card, this is great. In terms of how you kind of keep it in place, many ways to do it. I just use your regular clothes peg and just peg it down like that. Alternatively, if you want to do it with a heavy stack of books or something heavy, you can just kind of stack it on top like that. Either way works. So now that I'm done showing you how my kit looks like, I also want to share with you the reason why I don't actually repair my card a whole lot. First and foremost, as much as some of the videos make you believe that, wow, you can kind of get cards all worked out like almost they're brand new, the truth of it is that it's not always the case. Certain cards work better than some based on experience. So for example, paper cards like this work great because their surface is a little bit more pliable. But if you have cards with a really chrome surface, much like Select, Prism, like one of these, it's tough because that chrome layer is extremely tough to make any repairs on. And you would imagine as well, the older 90s card where you have foil all around, those are pretty much impossible to repair. You can get a card that is slightly PSA 7 to get to maybe PSA 8 at best. From 9 to 10, if you ask me personally, Yeah, very rare that I have had any success kind of, you know, making the card into a perfect 10. As much as I have all this kit all built out, I very rarely use it. So hopefully the video has been useful for you. And as always, thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one.